Y'all hear me now? Yep, there we go. There is the sound. What's going on? Say hi when you jump in. This is gonna be fun. I don't have any script. I don't have any type of written paperwork or anything like that. We just gonna have a chit chat here about evolution. Myth or fact? Hey Brandy baby, thanks for hopping on. So what do you think? Myth or fact? Evolution. Hope a lot of people get on here. I got a few people that might be on a little bit later and stuff like that. But evolution here, we are going to be talking about that. And I'm just going to go ahead and upfront let everybody absolutely a myth, absolutely a myth. Um, I'm going to go ahead and just let everybody know that I am coming into this conversation. This is a conversation. This is not a teaching session or anything like that. This is just a conversation, chit chat back and forth. I'm the one talking, obviously, but I will be putting up comments and things like that as they come across. But I think Facebook has me shadow banned or something. I don't understand. I guess they get tired of my political views. Whatever, Zuckerberg. But anyway, that we ain't talking about that. So I come at in a like I said, a biblical view of the world. And the world is only 6,022 years old. Point blank, blam, boom, period to the point. Um, and I know that a lot of people get on here, and they talk about, not on here. If somebody wants to get on here and they want to go to the route about this particular animal called the dinosaur, that's fine. I love to talk about dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are cool, but millions of years, not on your life at all. In fact, I got a bunch of stuff I want to show you, but I'm not necessarily going to be going through like I would normally do. But it's just something that you can quickly see that I'm not making all this stuff up. And if you want to research it yourself, you can. But it's just so funny that how the secular world cannot admit to God. They cannot admit God exists, God created everything, and everything that they come up with to try to explain away God always falls apart. It just crumbles. I think it's pretty cool because I remember not too long ago, I couldn't wrap my head around 6,022 years. It took some in-depth research and looking around and things like that. And, scientists who have a biblical background, who have a biblical view, but are using the same science, it shows exactly what the Bible says happens. But it's pretty cool. But if you get on here and you want to put in the comment about dinosaurs being millions of years old, well, did you know that the T Rex is supposed to be like 40 something million years or some weird stinking number like that. But did you know that they actually have T Rex bones that were found here in the United States? That when they found the bones, they started slicing them up and everything, and they found soft tissue and red blood cells in them 40 million years ago. Soft tissue and red blood cells. But don't take my word for it. Let me share my screen here. Right here, you can see dinosaur shocker. Probing oh, this one's even older. 68 million year old T Rex. Mary Schweitzer. She stumbled across an astonishing signs of life that that may have radically changed the view of the ancient beast. And that sounds pretty cool, huh? 68 million year Tyrannosaurus Rex found in Montana was dug up and its leg bones were broken into pieces. Poor bones, poor dinosaur. I thought they were supposed to be mean and nasty and killing. They broke these dinosaur legs. Fragments were dissolved in the acid, and Schweitzer's laboratory in North Carolina at State University in Raleigh. And cool beans. And she was looking through the screen on the telescope. And look here, whole cells inside the T Rex bone, blood vessels and structures. All that's what she's finding. So, and this right here goes on and on and on. So we're not gonna go over all of that. But she found T Rex to actually have back where I was at here. So she found T Rex bone. What's up, Angel? Thanks for hopping on. Um, so she found these T Rex bones, and they're slicing them up, and they have red blood cells in them. They have soft tissue in them. 68 million years old, and this is gonna be intact? Come on now. You got to be kidding me. But they still want to stick with it, okay? Um let's go to another one here. Show you something about that one as well. The controversial discovery of 68 million year old T Rex soft tissue bones of a Tyrannosaurus Rex finally has a physical explanation. According to new research, iron in the dinosaur's body preserved the soft tissue before it could decay. So iron. This is coming from Live Science, so they're sticking with the agenda and all the brainwashing that they're doing. That's what I think, they're brainwashing. But they're going to say iron is causing the decay of soft tissue to not happen. Okay. Well, let's see here. Got a couple more here. I just want to show you how they're wording their stuff. See, so that one, this is where you got to watch how they're saying this stuff. Well, if it would be petrified, wouldn't that mean it's millions of years old? Can't be petrified and have soft tissue. As Brandy's asking, did they find petrified bones? I think petrified bones have to be a certain age to go through that metamorphical process and everything. But once it's petrified, there's no more tissue. Why petrified wood is not wood anymore. It looks like the wood that it came from and all that, but it's no longer wood. Okay. And that's just me. That's me pulling it out of my head. But and when petrification actually happens, is that a word? Sound crazy now, huh? But when that actually happens, there's a chemical change, and the soft tissue is gone. And so the bones, they never said that they were petrified or not petrified. What they said was there was soft tissue, red blood cells, and to me, if I'm gonna go with the same thing about the wood and everything, that means the bones are not petrified. So how can they be 68 million years and not be petrified? They're still soft tissue. There's only one answer. There's only one answer, and they can't say it. It's because it's not 68 million years old. uh, let's see. So let me go to this one thing here because they're still trying to defend this, but I want to show you this thing about wording here. So this is Berkeley Labs. All these skip to my Lou, my darling universities out there that think that they know everything and their name has been around for so long, and they're like, oh, Berkeley, Harvard, Princeton. Really, we should be like, okay, what do you really got to offer? Because it's just a name. And that's like paying for Tommy Hilfiger. You can go to Walmart and buy some daggum good shirts. They just don't got the Tommy Hilfiger logo on there, so it costs 55 times less than what it does to buy a Tommy Hilfiger shirt. You paid all this money to go to Princeton, Harvard, and Berkeley, and you can probably get the same thing here in Polk County at Polk State College because we have some damn good teachers here. Anyway, Berkeley Labs, they're going to help reveal how dinosaur blood vessels can be preserved through the ages. Not a whole lot of ages, just want to let everybody know. But they talking about here, a chemical mechanism to allow soft tissue structures to persist in dinosaur bones. So they want to show how this can really happen. Team of scientists led by Elizabeth Boatman, blah, 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 infrared, X-ray imaging, spectral microscopy performed at Berkeley Labs, advanced lighting source, ALS. Ain't that a disease? ALS? Harsh disease. I mean, it's bad. Wonder why they called their advanced lighting source a disease. Just something I just thought of. Sorry. To demonstrate how soft tissue structures may be preserved. Like I said, you got to watch out for the wording that they're showing you and everything, because they ain't saying that this is exactly and is definitely how soft tissue is preserved through long times, millions of years. They're saying how it may be, because they don't have any proof that it does. Why? Because we can't go back 68 million years ago and start and take the data there and come forward and see if that actually works out. That's an observational science, and they can't do that. They got to make hypotheses. Hypotheses. That's it. They got to do that. So it's only a hypothesis. They cannot prove it because they can't go back 68 million years ago. You know why they can't go back 68 million years ago? There's no such thing as 68 million years ago. That's why they can't go back. What's anybody saying over here? So, where do they come up with the 68 million years? That's another question. And that's pretty funny. 'Cause who knows what kind of dating do they use today when they do dating for old rocks and old animals? Anybody know? Anybody know? Who thinks is carbon dating? I need some answers. This is college 101. Come on. Who thinks is carbon dating? I got something funny to show you. Anybody? Carbon dating, carbon dating, carbon dating, carbon dating, carbon dating. I'll get to that one in a minute. Google it if you want to while we're doing the live. But check this out. This just goes, I'm fixing to show you something that should make everybody completely against any type of long distance dating. Ah, I'm not teaching, I'm discussing. So I'm fixing to show you something here. This should turn you off from all science. All science. Every scientist out there should be treated as a clown. Okay? Clown. Clown, clown, clown. Because they just punched them. They said they're sitting in front of a mirror and they're punching themselves in the face, and they don't realize that they're destroying all of their work. All their work. Oh my. Yeah. I wish I could hear everybody laugh when I pull this up, let you see it. Wish I could hear everybody laugh. I'm gonna laugh. Y'all ready? You ready for it? All right, here it comes. Scientists measure half-life of element that's longer than the age of the universe. Longer than the age of the universe. They don't even have Xenon 124. Rare decay. I don't even know. I don't even wanna go to the I just don't even rate looking at any in depth, okay? That title right there should make you just throw out your science books and never study science again. So it's older so they found a half-life of an element that's older than the universe. But didn't they say that the Big Bang brought everything into existence? But they found something that actually outdates the Big Bang. Absolutely right. Guess God created that one. They can say and they just can't say the word God. They can't put that word in their mouth and come out and say, "Well, we found something that's older than the universe. The Big Bang theory is out of the window. God had to create it then." Can't say that. So how do they know? How can they test something that's older than the universe? What are they using to test it? They can't be using the same element because it'll mix in with what's there. So they can't be testing with that. So obviously, if that one element is older than the universe, no other element's going to be able to go back to it. So how are they testing it? How is it older than what they say the beginning is? Close the science book, push it over, and get out Barney Fife and watch him. Okay. Oh, some people on here might not know who Barney Fife is. Get out Peanuts and watch Snoopy and everything like that because that makes more sense than having an element older than the universe, even in secular science. That is probably the most moronic thing I've ever seen. And I just saw that today. That's the first time I ever seen that. I was like, what? And I was like, you got to be kidding me. But let's go back to dinosaurs. Um, so let's see here. I want to talk about the dinosaurs because everybody likes to talk about the dinosaurs, that they live, obviously the T Rex lived 68 million years ago. And probably some lived before that one, some lived after that one, and all that good stuff. Let's take a look here. We didn't know what the heck a dinosaur was. By the way, this is from the History Channel, which, whatever. But 1842, Sir Richard Owen, Britain's leading paleontologist, first coined the term dinosaur. Owen had examined bones from three different creatures: Megalosaurus, Iguanodon, Iguanatooth, and Haliosaurus, woodland lizard. And through these studies, he goes, huh, call these things dinosaurs. When anybody talks about dinosaurs, they have no idea what they're saying. Okay? Because it's a 1847 word. It's modern history. Okay. By the way, I got one question here, Brandy. You're not allowed to answer it. Name me a prehistoric animal, please. In the comments, name me a prehistoric animal. Yeah, they can watch Barney. That makes more sense than an element older than the universe. But anybody other than Brandy, name me a prehistoric animal. Put in the comments. All right. So now we're going to get to evolution because we already see that dinosaurs 68 million years ago, we got soft tissue, takes away 68 million years ago. But they're saying iron is what's keeping that from happening. But we want to talk more about mankind because they think we come from chimpanzees. They think we come from chimps and stuff like that. So, has anybody ever heard of Piltdown Man? Yeah, it's a weird name, I know. Piltdown Man. Well, Piltdown Man was actually he was supposedly the missing link between apes and man. One of the first ones that they found down. Let's see here. Let me get all this stupid advertisements out of the way. Piltdown Man, infamous fake fossil. All right. 1912, Charles Dawson wrote to London's Natural Museum claiming he had discovered the missing evolutionary link between apes and humans in a fossil he had dug up in Piltdown, Sussex. And we're not going to read all this to you. You can read it as I'm going through here. And he was actually was established as a hoax in 1953, so it didn't take very long. After decades of leading scientists down the wrong path of the evolutionary study. Why is it leading them down the wrong path? Because evolution is fake. That's why. They can't say that, of course. They'd be kicked out of the paleontology field and laughed at. So the Piltdown Man was a collection of fossils assumed to be from the same Paleotocene, and all this stuff right here. I'm not going to say all these dumb words because they don't exist really. And evolution, anthropology, and paleontology of the Liverpool Museum, all that kind of stuff. When it come down, Piltdown Man fossils were found over several years. Not at one time, it wasn't all together. Several, including a mandible and a set of teeth, parts of a human-like skull, and a canine tooth. They were also rudimentary stone tools, a carved slab of bone, and fragments of fossils from this era. Fossils had the same dark reddish brown color as the surrounding Paleistocene. In the pits that were uncovered, the mandible resembled an ape's, while the skull appeared human, and the canine tooth could have belonged to either species. Taken together, the fossils seem to suggest that their own exhibit characterized both apes and humans and was therefore the missing link. In reality, the jawbones and the tooth came from an orangutan and the skull was from a medieval human. They probably got in a fight with each other and they both wounded each other and they died right there. They were real close together though, so they just put it all together. They just want to make something up. The jawbones was from an orangutan, the skull's from a human. Now, I don't know how long they're saying this paleo area was, but it had to be within the last 6,000 years. So, how you like that? But it just goes to show you they'll put anything together and push it, true or not. And even sometimes when it comes out that is not true, they still keep pushing it. Still keep pushing it. Evolution doesn't happen. Okay, here we go. Here's another one. The history of the Hesperopithecus, the human ape link that turned out to be a pig. I'm not even going to read it, okay? The Nebraska Man. They pulled all this stuff together, and there was a single tooth, okay? There was a tooth. And the guy who found the tooth and started putting all this, did this big drawing around the tooth and pushed it out as, look, we found the missing link. We found the missing link. We got this whole skeleton here. No, you had a tooth and a bunch of drawings and some pieces of stone and stuff like that from all over the area. You had one tooth. And I believe it was a pig. It was a pig. Oh, just to show you that I'm not lying about that. Nebraska Man, a pig tooth. Man, science is turning around and kicking science's butt every single day when it comes to where everything came from. Why can't they find the missing link? There's no such thing as the missing link. God created man in his absolute perfect adult body, man and woman. They were about 33 years old, if you want to ask me. Why? Because that was the first Adam. The second Adam we know is Jesus, and probably going to be about the same age. So when God created man and woman, he created them, bam, you're 33. Might not be, could be 32, 31, 35, 34, whatever. But right at that age, full adult. And the way they portray mankind here is that we used to be stupid. I'm going to grab my wife and just pull her by the hair into the cave. Yeah, that is not how mankind actually became and developed through history. 6,022 years worth of history, because that's all there is. However, they want to portray us as being animalistic and everything like that. This is more of describing how society is today than it is throughout history. Okay. But Nebraska man, a pig's tooth right there. They were all this. Here's what it was. Let me tell you what. I'm going to go ahead and reenact this for you. Okay. Man, I wish I had a bow tie and a set of glasses and everything. So I'm the professor. I'm the anthropologist and everything. And I got all this together and talking to my esteemed associates. I just found the missing link right over here by the field. It shows without a doubt, pipe, that mankind came from the apes. Then some hillbilly farmer came around and went, "No, bro, that's a pig tooth. Y'all got that all wrong. Quit drawing that shit around that." And went on about his way. A farmer turned around and said, "You got a pig's tooth." Who's smart? People who know the earth, people who know the animals. Those are the smart ones. Not only people who try to use science to disprove what really has happened. What does that say? Let's see here. All the human remains they use, different bones from different species to create their. Yep. They bone from here, bone from here, bone from here. And why don't they fit exactly together? Because they're millions of years old. Ew. Man, I wish I could have been around when the farmer came around and told that guy, "No, man, that's a pig tooth. You butthole." Yep. Ding. That would have been hilarious. Oh man. What do we got here? Okay. So it's funny how still today they have never, ever, ever found a missing link to link man back to ape. Why? Because we didn't come out of a muddy cesspool of sludge way back millions and millions of years ago and develop into what we are now. That didn't happen. Did not happen. But they have a lot of this stuff, this dating methods, right? We talked about that earlier. I said I was going to come back to it. So a lot of people here, they tested that rock by carbon dating. It's 37 billion years old, whatever, and all this, that blah, 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 blah. It's 68 million years old dinosaur bone. We did carbon dating testing and it came out 68 million years old. That is absolute proof. We got radiometric dating, carbon dating going to show us that. Well, let me show you something real quick. So, the concept of half-life, okay? Anything radioactive, you're doing radiometric dating, you're using the half-life of a radioactive material. And of course, if you understand it, half-life is the time it takes for half of that to decay down to stable. So half of it to go away, pretty much. And then whatever you got left, another half-life, and half of that'll be gone. So you got a quarter, then a half-life of that, you got a quarter. And it usually takes to get down to background radiation, which is what we go outside in every day, about 10 half-lives. No matter what the element is, about 10 half-lives. On today's decay rate is today. How it decays right now is 10 half lives. And that I work in radiation. I can't get rid of stuff till the 10 half lives are gone. Luckily, I work with stuff that are like 120 minutes or 6 hours, and half life doesn't take very long to get through 10 half lives. Carbon 14. That's the carbon dating that they use. They use carbon 14 to date things like that because the fact that carbon 14 lasts a long time, right? Well, as you can see right here, and this ain't my highlighting, carbon 14 it has a half life of 5,730 years. So in 5,730 years, half of what you got to be gone. So if something is 5,730 years old, you could probably use carbon dating to get that. 10 half lives is 57,300 years. The maximum age using carbon dating of anything can only be 57,300 years because after that, you can't detect it. Carbon dating, flawed like a horse in mud. Flawed. You can't use carbon dating. Now, they did start to realize that, and they all of a sudden said, well, if we can't do carbon dating, we got to find another way to do dating, okay? Um, so a lot of the ones they say we do argon dating. Argon, potassium argon, and all that kind of stuff. So let me show you this real quick. This can't happen. Oh, I just gave away my secret. So usually argon dating, they go from argon 41 to argon 40. So it's argon 40, if you see right here, is stable. So it can't decay anymore. Non-radioactive. So they test it with argon 41 to argon 40, and it's the ratio pretty much of the two. That argon 41 has a half-life of 109.34 minutes. How are you getting to millions and billions of years when the half-life of the radioactive source, that the only thing that you can actually trace, has a 110-minute half-life? Tell me, please, please, please. I'm just asking. Just asking. What does it work you up? But that's what they argon, potassium argon, and all that kind of stuff. And the argon is stable, so they in a bunch of crap. Okay, here. Let's take a look at one more real quick. This is some more about dating and not two people dating each other. So, dating methods, right? So you have radio isotopic dating, paleomagnetic dating, chemical dating, biological dating. So let's talk about biological. Is either you're looking and you're seeing the growth rate of the growth layers. So anything over 150 years old, we ain't watching crap. So can't do biological dating. For Earth age dating, you can biological date your niece who's 7 years old. You know she's 7 years old when she turns 10. You know that was 3 years. You can biological date that. Chemical dating, organic amino acids, inorganic. Well, if you're doing these organic, how again they can't be millions of years old because you're not going to have organic material, carbon material available because it doesn't go back millions of years. 57,300. That's it. Bam. Done. So chemical dating to go back millions of years will not work. Inorganic dating, weathering rates, fingerprinting, things like that. Well, the one thing that will stop any and all that weathering rates was the flood. That started everything over again. So you'd have to go from the flood forward. So you can't use that. Paleomagnetic incidences of reversals, secular variations. So you're watching a magnetic shift. Well, that would be our planet. We have a magnetic pole and everything. However, we don't know how long that pole has been shifting. According to secular, it's been millions, billions of years, but the Earth is only 6,022 years old. Can't do that. So they have to settle on radioisotopic. Um, we're not measuring cosmogenic nuclides because we're not, there's things out in outer space that's not on our Earth. Should be, because everything's moving. It's a vacuum, but once in motion, it stays in motion, and atoms and molecules are always in motion, so they stay in motion. Um, Direct measurement of radioisotope or of decay products. There's your carbon 14 and your potassium argon dating and stuff like that. That's where they work at. Well, there's some flaws in this, and I'll show you in a minute, but just one of them is you need to know how much you started with to know the original ratio to be able to calculate and come down to where it is now. Guess what? Nobody knows where we started. Um, Equilibrium measurements, you have to actually see where the equilibrium happened. You have to be able to physically measure that time when it happens. Can't do that either. And integrated effects, fission, all that kind of stuff. Well, things don't act today the way they acted before the flood. There was a different atmospheric condition of the earth before the flood. So after the flood, things changed. We don't know exactly because we weren't there. We weren't visually there to see it. So we don't know what the change was. Better be glad you weren't there because you wouldn't have made it through the flood. So that'd have been end of for you. But only one that we're using, or that the scientists are using, is this one, the direct measurement of radioisotopes and the decay products. Well, if you don't know what was there at the beginning, everything else that you do is absolutely guesswork. It can be made on a general theory and everything, but that's fine. Be the only student. It's cool. Hope you enjoy it. There's three people on here. So way back then, if we were there, we could see it and then we can measure it all the way to here. But since we can't do that, everything is a hypothesis. I didn't look that one up, so educated guess. Let's see here. And remember that one we were talking about, the potassium argon dating, and we talked about argon. Can't do that because the one argon is only 110 minutes, and you can't do carbon 14 because once you got back down the background, you only got 57,000 years, so you can't use those two. But the potassium argon, people are like, "Ooh, man, now potassium has the radioactive potassium has a long half life." So I guess that's why they use it. Let's see. I'll show you what this is a school teaching session here. And you get down here and you're like, "Ooh, oh, we can do this. We can do this. Express in millions of years. We can express in millions of years. Woo!" As opposed to thousands, they're going out. Only carbon 14 only goes to thousands. They're saying it's right here. So they have found out that they suck with carbon 14. But if you look down here, as the stimulation of the processes of potassium argon samples show, the standard deviations of potassium argon dates are so large that resolution higher than about 1,000,000 years is almost impossible to achieve. By comparison, radiocarbon dates seem to almost be precise as a cesium clock. Well, radiocarbon, you can't get that far back. Potassium argon dating is accurate for 4.3 billion years, the age of the Earth, to about 100,000 years before the present time. So if it's closer than 100,000 years, they can't use it. Well, if you can't use it, obviously there's still some potassium in the rocks today. Why can't you guesstimate how old those rocks are? Why can't you do that? Because it has flaws because you don't know what you started with. And that's why you can't bring it forward all the way. Now they're saying that hopefully in the future it'll come to close as 20,000 years before the current day. Well, if there's radioactive potassium and argon in the rock or in the vessel or in the whatever you're trying to measure, the tree and everything like that, if there's potassium and argon in there, you should be able to measure it because it's there. It's flawed. You can't use this to date stuff accurately. That's the problem. But they just won't say, well, maybe it all came about 6,000 years ago. They just won't say that. So the last thing here I'm going to show you, and then we can chit chat for a minute, but it's getting late. um, just some of the flaws that they found. Now this is from scientists also, the paleontologists and what are the ones, all the ones that do all the digging and stuff like that. My mind's going, shutting down, getting tired, all this stuff, but it's fun. The radiometric dating. Radiometric dating measures the decay of radioactive atoms to determine the age of a rock. It is found on unprovable assumptions such as one, there has been no contamination, and two, the decay rate has remained constant. By dating rocks of known ages, which have given highly inflated ages, geologists have shown that this method can't be reliable absolute ages. They actually remember when I don't know if anybody remembers it, but Mount St. Helens, when Mount St. Helens actually erupted and cooled down and everything settled about 10 years later and stuff like that, they went out there and they grabbed a rock and they dated it and they tested with the argon and all that. And 10 years later, okay, boom, it explodes, destroys all that forest and everything. All the trees are laid down. If you remember that, you know what I'm talking about. And it finally settled down and everything. And the geologists went out there and grabbed some rocks and they started dating them. And they dated 5 million years old. I would put down my little chisel and pick up the book then. Start reading the truth. 5 million years old or so on a 10-year-old rock that just formed. Okay. So let's go back to that. All right. Many geologists claim that radiometric clocks show rocks to be millions of years old. However, to read any clock accurately, you must know where the clock was set at to be in the beginning. If it was at 3 o'clock when it started, it's 3 hours ahead when you're looking at it. Or if it was backwards, you don't know where it was at when it started. So if you don't know where it's at when you started, you doggone sure can't come up with where it's at the end, which is now when they're looking at stuff. Radiometric dating and the age of the Earth. Most people think that radioactive dating has proven the Earth is billions of years old. After all, your textbooks, your school teachers, the media, the museums, they proudly display this millions of years and everything. Yet few people know that how radiometric dating actually works, and they assume that the conclusion that you come up with carbon dating, argon dating, and potassium argon dating are absolutely true. Is the Earth approximately 4 billion years old? This figure wasn't established by radiometric dating of the Earth itself. So we live on a planet that's approximately 4 billion years old, and they didn't even test the Earth itself. Oh well. And radio halos. These things, they say they shouldn't exist. I need to do more research on these because I want to see what it's all about. But according to conventional wisdom, the science of secular world and everything going on, these things shouldn't even be here. They are very tiny. Polonium radio holes. Polonium. So there's it. That's an actual element that we have. They have a huge message that cannot be ignored. They point out a catastrophic origin for granites consistent with the biblical time frame for the earth's history and God's judgment during the flood. Science is proving the Bible is true. So if you believe the Bible is absolutely the truth, God's word up to the utmost T, period, that's it. It's awesome to go back and find some man-made science. You want to talk about that a second too? That proves that the Bible is actually right. So these little bitty halos from polonium, not plutonium, polonium, actually prove there was a catastrophic granite beginning and the judgment and the flood. Secular science is proving it. I'm not saying it. Um, what was I saying? I was gonna say something. I forgot now. It's getting late. What was I gonna say? Um, oh, well, I can't remember. But is oh, now I remember. Man-made science. Well, guess what? Science is not man-made. The use of science is man-made. God made science. If you think about this, science is made up of exact laws. The law of thermodynamics, the law of non-repeat, all these times I gotta look at that, but it's an exact law because if science wasn't based on exactness, that doesn't change. We wouldn't have anything that was scientifically proven. I mean, everything that we have could change. Your phone could just turn into a doorbell because science is not based on facts. So science created by God on absolute perfect rules. We take those rules and try to disprove the God who created the science, not we scientists, secular world, the devil, all that. So that's what's funny is they're using the perfect setup that God gave to try to turn around and go, you didn't create it, we did it. That's crazy, right? And we see where that's getting us in the world. All right. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Like I said, we didn't have a whole lot of discussion, but so maybe somebody enjoyed just what I went over. But science is proving evolution is a myth. You are not and were not ever a monkey or an ape or a chimpanzee or even a tadpole in ooze billions of years ago. You were never one of those. Why would you want to be anyway? Ugh. All right. I'm going to jump off here. I hope y'all had a great time tonight. I will see everybody the next time. I don't know when it's going to be, probably a day or two. We'll see. Prayers for everybody for a safe evening and a blessed day tomorrow. Um, yeah, Brandy, you talking too much. Shh. Everybody have a blessed day tomorrow. And when you see somebody at work or next to you in the store, smile. We don't have enough of that going on today. Y'all have a good evening. See you next time. Bye bye.